Hey everyone, I'm Albert Boris. So, we all love colors, don't we everyone? They add much needed vibrancy to not just our everyday lives, but also video games. Especially Nintendo games. And with the Super Mario Galaxy movie coming its way to theaters in just a few weeks, I thought, why not capitalize on the hype by attempting to beat Super Mario Galaxy 2 while touching as few colors as possible. This is a challenge I've seen a lot of people do on other Mario games already, but surprisingly, even after all this time, there is not a single challenge video of this type on this specific Mario game. Which was a little disappointing, but hey, it's fine.
I'll do it myself.
I always thought it seemed like a fun challenge, and since I now actually have the opportunity to go in blind with this game, I figured why not actually attempt this while I have the chance. And if you guys enjoy it, maybe I'll do even more videos like this in the future. The rules and exceptions, as you all know, are hopefully simple. If I'm touching a color while I'm in a locked cutscene or Mario has no control, that doesn't count because, well, I'm not actually touching that color myself. Only when I'm actually controlling Mario do I have to worry about what I touch. And I was considering whether nabbing star bits with my pointer counted as touching a color, since technically you don't touch them as much as they touch you, but at the end of the day, I figured it's best to play safe. However, if I do accidentally grab any star bits of a color that's not been eliminated, I will also let that slide, unless it would definitively impede my progress, since I don't want to waste time restarting levels just because of one stupid mishap. That said, whenever Starship Mario is moving around on the world map, that does not count because it doesn't actually touch the yellow line or galaxies as much as it's just floating above them. So with all that being said, let's finally get started. So right off the bat, the first color to be eliminated was, unfortunately... I mean, on one hand, it's not like it was gonna last anyways, considering how much grass there is in this game. The hardest part right away was avoiding the constant barrages of starbits bombarding the field. The first wave I was able to outrun by just immediately running forward, but the second wave once I got to the question blocks is unfortunately always faster than me no matter what. And you can't even wait out for the comets to disappear because they always keep spawning over and over again. You know, I can see why nobody attempted this challenge yet. I ended up waiting for about a minute until a point where there were fewer star bits on the road, and then I backflipped my way through the gaps and somehow managed to narrowly avoid every star bit. Honestly, it almost felt like pure luck, but whatever. At least the rest of the tutorial was much less of a battlefield. Oh, come on! Well, I guess we're sacrificing brown, because there's no way I'm risking accidentally touching these star bits. Oh well, at least we can touch both grass and dirt now, which are both bound to be common throughout the game anyways, and that's grey. Or actually, wait, maybe we don't actually need to touch it, because before we can even step on it, the game enters a cutscene, so maybe we can just jump over it. Of course we can't. And also, the launch star is orange! Damn, we're down by 4 colors already. But surely, now that the most common colors are out of the way, surely Sky Station Galaxy will be a breeze, right? Well, that's what I initially thought, except to get to the top of the tower of the first planet, I would have to fall through this hole, which had a bunch of yellow coins, so that was out of the question. Fortunately though, I could also just reach it by wall kicking off the house and, never mind. You know what? I never liked yellow anyway, so good riddance! Blue was also looking to be in the risk zone, as the planet right after had this giant rooftop I needed to walk across. However, I also noticed these tiny yellow stumps nailed into it at regular intervals. So by backflipping across them, I was able to narrowly avoid the blue just like that. Unfortunately, I didn't have to touch the last rooftop either, as the loom on top of it became a launch star before that could happen anyways. After that, it was smooth sailing, even if I had to skip the comet medal due to it being part white. Except then I realized the eggshell of Pewee Piranha was white, so I could have gotten it regardless. Oh well, we make it to Starship Mario, and I narrowly avoided touching blue again because of these flowers in front of me. Dude, you are one lucky woman, Lubba. Anyways, that gives us access to Yoshi Star Galaxy though, which seemed like it would go smoothly as well. There's some red plants and blue trampolines in the way, but those were easily avoidable. At this point, I was reasonably impressed by how frequently blue was able to escape my clutches, and as a huge fan of that color, I really started to root for it to become a potential finalist. That f***ing Magikoopa that I hate. At least the rest of the level didn't put up any problems, since even this fruit of the launch star was orange instead of the usual red. I was considering if Yoshi should technically eliminate red because of his saddle color, but I figured that even if Mario technically touches it while riding, I wasn't really gonna count it because Mario isn't really in control anymore as much as it's Yoshi. And if I spin next to Yoshi, I can ride him without even needing to touch the saddle as him anyway, so yeah, go figure. Next though, I needed 3 total stars to proceed further on the world map, and since Spiny Control wasn't gonna budge it because of all the red spinies I'd had to eat, I went ahead and did Sky Station Star 2, which fortunately didn't require me to touch any of its black hazards at all. Even the midway flag I was able to narrowly jump over. After that, Spin the Galaxy started to worry me once again though, due to the spin drill having a red band. But then I realized I could just crouch into it to get it without having to touch the red part. And this was it! Red has officially replaced blue as the heroic color of my life. Unfortunately, I didn't need the drill anymore after the second planet was done anyways, so I was all cleared. No! Oh my f***ing god! You were so close! Why couldn't you land on the freaking window? And do you want to know what's even worse? I can't even launch away from this stupid spacecraft without touching the black checkpoint flag. Why would you put it right below the launch star? Why won't you let me play this game my way? I mean, at least the dig-a-leg was breezable, even if I had to be careful and not touch the star drips he dropped. But come on, halfway through World 1 and we only have 2 colors left. That's not good. At the very least, Fluff Bluff Galaxy gave me no problem. I just had to avoid the pink flowers here and there, but after this was when I encountered a pretty steep roadblock. We needed 7 stars to be able to reach Bowser Jr.'s fort, but we only had 5, so where should we go? Well, the secret star Fluff Bluff Galaxy is out of the question, because the Hungry Luma becomes a pink launch star. Right side down needs us to swing off this purple dandelion to get out of the starting area. Yes, it's purple, just a very light shade of it. And Spin Drill Star 2 has this giant purple tower, which has no way of being skipped. But that's when I realized I can actually touch all of the star bits except for the purple ones now. So if we could farm up to 300, we could at the very least have a jab at Flip Swap Galaxy, which as far as I knew had no purples or pinks. So I went back to Yoshi Star Galaxy to do Spiny Control, since we could interact with Red now, and also Sky Station Star 1 again to nab the Comet Medal, all while carefully making sure I got every star bit except the purple ones. And lo and behold, we made it! Unfortunately, Flip Swap Galaxy was more than doable, and with that, we could tackle Bowser Jr.'s Fiery Flotilla now. There were some purple platforms here and there, but nothing I couldn't easily just jump over. And with that, we made it through World 1. To be honest, at this point, I'm rather skeptical about how far we're gonna be able to make it. I mean, Jesus Christ, only 2 f***ing colors left. But you know what, I'm gonna go into World 2 with an open mind. Puzzle Plank Galaxy was mostly consistent of a bunch of oranges and browns, expected coming from a wood-themed level. So it was fairly manageable all the way through. Oh my god, bruh! I can't even go one more level without drastic consequences. And I'm pretty sure pink is the rarest color as well. Oh well, at least this boss fight is gonna be green according to the picture. Okay, so is this it? Am I already cooked just one world done into this challenge? Well, by some miracle, I'm actually not. Because Puzzle Plank Galaxy also happens to be a level with a secret star I can just tackle instead. And while I still have to sacrifice pink because of the unique launch star color, at least this boss fight actually is green. So I'll take what I can get. Unfortunately, next up was yet another crossroad of destiny though. Did I take the top path and have a go at Boulder Bowl Galaxy, or did I risk getting a purple star bit by smashing into the crystal on the lower path? Just to be safe, I made an attempt at Boulder Bowl Galaxy, which went smoothly at first, until I realized I had to break this purple crystal at the end to free a launch start. So instead, let's try Okay, you know what? This might be considered cheating to some of you, but I am not gonna count this as touching purple. I know I technically just did, and even restarted the game multiple times to see if I'd get any other colors instead those times. If it was just randomized, it would be fine, but it seems like it's always predetermined to give me purple star bits. However, at the same time, I don't want to end this challenge so soon, just because of this one stupid detail. If this is where it ends for you, fair play, but you know what? I'm just gonna say that I technically didn't touch it. I touched the dark green crystal, and then the star bits touched me while I wasn't moving. That's my reason. So onto Hightail Falls we go. The hardest part of this level was fortunately just the start, where I had to awkwardly run up this slope with Bash Pepper Yoshi without touching the purple borders. I could not for the life of me align him to just run straight on, in part due to the awkward camera angle. But after about 15 minutes of miserably failing, I realized I could just immediately jump off Yoshi after grabbing the pepper, and I could launch myself 20 feet up in the air and get up that way instead. It's probably not supposed to work like that, but hey, I'll take what I can get. After that, there fortunately wasn't really much purple anymore, aside from some walls I had to narrowly avoid at the end. So after that, I knocked out the secret star as well. Cosmic Cove Galaxy had a few purple formations in the water, as well as scuttlebugs, but they were all easily avoidable on all 3 stars, and similarly, Wild Glide Galaxy's biggest hazard was just a few purple balloons scattered in the air. After that though, yet again, I unfortunately didn't have enough stars for the Bowser level, but at least I was just 1 away this time. I went back to Fluff Bluff Galaxy to do the secret star, as well as the Chimp Stomp challenge, as this was the time I got the mail for it, and just for the heck of it, I purchased Honeybloom Galaxy and nabbed its 2 stars as well, carefully avoiding its flower platforms and purple purple star bits falling off from vines. And so it was time for Bowser's lava lair. And it went pretty nicely up until yeah, there's a sneak block segment, and much to my dismay, it is perfect! However, that's also when I immediately noticed a life mushroom hovering above a fire bar, which stood just within a long jump's distance from me, so by nabbing it, I had enough expendable health points to cheese through the lava on not just the first snake block segment, but even the second one barely. To be honest, I'm not sure why they actually put a life mushroom there at all, when it's so close to the end where they put another one anyways, but hey, it may have just saved this run. So after beating up Bowser, it was already on to World 3. You know what, the way purple has avoided my claws barely so far, maybe it will be able to carry us all the way after all. Moving onward, Tall Trunk Galaxy was a complete and utter breeze, with my biggest concern exclusively being a few purple balloons on the slide segment. Haunted Halls Galaxy only had purple on a few easily jumped over platforms, and Freeze Flake Galaxy was completely purple free outside a secret star, and even then it was only on the spiky gummits, that I were meant to avoid anyways. And despite being so colorful, Rolling Masterpiece Galaxy 2 only had one easily avoidable instance of Violet. Even Cloudy Court Galaxy was purple free outside of a few walls I weren't meant to touch anyways, and just like that, we already had enough stars to tackle Bowser Jr.'s fearsome fleet. Once again, its most purple elements were a couple of walls and also these fuzzied enemies, and what the heck, we made it through World 3 scot-free? I'm okay, I wouldn't have been able to do Beat Block Galaxy, but I didn't have enough star bits to purchase it from the Hungry Luma anyway, so all is well. So you know what, let's just hope World 4 keeps this momentum going. Supermassive Galaxy was once again very unproblematic, since most of it was just made up of brown and yellow platforms, although unfortunately the secret star wasn't doable, since that meant I'd have to walk into a bunch of purple flowers to make the planet bloom. Moving on to Flipsville Galaxy, aside from the spikes on the pop dozers and some avoidable markings on the glam dozer, the most purple thing of this galaxy was just the skybox, and I nabbed both stars no problem. Honey Hop Galaxy was admittedly a little bit scary, since there were quite a few purple flowers here and there, mostly platforms and dandelions to swing off from, but fortunately the bee mushroom allowed me to fly past all of it, and Honey Queen fortunately didn't have any purple on her fur. Starshine Beach Galaxy was yet another complete breeze for both of its stars, and Chumpworks Galaxy was... yes! I guess we can't do that one. And that's a bit unlucky, because that puts us at right another roadblock, this time to Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet. We're 3 stars short of being able to tackle it, but there's just one problem. We've already tackled every normal star available that doesn't have purple, aside from Sweet Mystery Galaxy. But not only do I not have enough star bits to purchase it, but one star wouldn't make a difference anyways, so I'm afraid to say we might just be screwed. The Prankster Comets! Thank you so much, Nintendo! With these finally showing up on the map around this time, I was able to save up enough stars to cut through the roadblock either way. I ended up tackling the Time Attack Comets for Supermassive, Sky Station and Rolling Masterpiece Galaxy, simply because they were effectively just repeats of stars I had already finished previously anyways. So with all of that, let's finally kick Bowser's ass again. Okay, is this purple or is it not? To be frank, I wasn't really sure whether or not it was. It certainly didn't look like the purples I'm normally used to seeing, but at the same time, it also did not look like red or brown either. And I was not gonna accept defeat right away, just because the game decided to land me on such an ambiguously purplish color. In the end, after using the color picker in Photoshop and also using my head a little, I came to the conclusion though that this isn't purple. We're safe. Actually, it's the same color as my beautiful new Burgundy passport, which in other words is just a darkened desaturated red. And thank f***ing God, because that meant we could actually go through this level without issue and proceed to World 5 and... Oh. That's a lot of purple. I hope that's not a bad sign. And right off the bat, Space Storm Galaxy already gave me huge trouble. I was a little reluctant on whether the starting planets could be considered purple. Personally, I ruled it out as just a desaturated blue, and fortunately, the rest of the mission mostly just employed varying shades of grey. Until the very ending bit. Yeah, there's no denying this is very clearly purple. The only saving grace was the fact that I fortunately not only landed on a black section of the planet, but also that the edges were at least all red. So if I could just walk along them... Fuck! Okay, it took about 10 minutes, but after getting a game over and switching over to Luigi, I did eventually avoid the onslaught of Bob-Bombs and Topmen trying to knock me over. And after carefully avoiding purple star bits on this pole star path, I somehow miraculously made it. At the very least, Star 2 had no purples at all, outside of the fuzzed enemies. However, more importantly, beating Space Storm Galaxy allows us to do any of the following levels in any order we like, meaning we can very easily just skip anything that won't work, and thank goodness for that, because even by just looking at Boom Moon Galaxy, I can already smell the stench of purple. However, what about Slip Sand Galaxy? That can't be too bad, right? And well, it was probably the least purple galaxy I've seen so far, consisting almost exclusively of brown sands, and while that's usually not a pleasant theme, I could not be more thankful this time. Shiverburn Galaxy was also purple free, as were both stars of Upside Dizzy Galaxy, and with that only puts us at 6 stars short of Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. And you know what that means. 6 Prankster Comets later, that too was a more than possible level, with only minor stretches of avoidable purple ground. You know, I'm kind of shocked we've managed to make it as far as World 6, carrying only purple. It's not been super common, however it's also not exactly a rare color in this game, partially lifted by the star bits. And yet somehow we've had the perfect amount of luck where it's never directly impeded our progress. And so far, it still looks like the tides are in our favor. Melty Monster Galaxy unfortunately had an impossible 2nd star, however the 1st and secret stars were completely purple free, as were both stars of Clockwork Ruins Galaxy, even if I was almost stopped by a purple star bit right above this warp pipe. Dude, I would have been so mad if it blocked the path. After that, Throwback Galaxy was a classic Mark 64 stage with almost no purple at all, and surprisingly, even Battle Belt Galaxy had no purple. If anything, it did have this pink star shroom though of all things. Literally, the only concerns that I really stumbled up on in World 6 were all of the constant roadblocks that required me to have a certain amount of stars. And even then, I somehow also just kept getting all of the right Prankster Comet stars to save the day for me. If even just one of them were a purple coin mission, that could have ended my run there and then, since you never know when another Prankster Comet could show up for you to tackle instead. But lucky enough, I was blessed to never get any of those. Admittedly, the Rainbow Star Ramp comets I got for Yoshi Star and Shiverburn Galaxy did worry me a little bit, since whenever I ran into enemies, they'd explode into a bunch of star bits. However, even those somehow didn't really get in the way, since the star bits that spawned were all fairly spread out before they quickly dissipated. And also, before anyone asks about the color of the Rainbow Star, I just walked into it when it wasn't purple. And after all of this was it. It was finally time for Bowser's Galaxy Generator now. We actually made it this far, and I was only hoping that luck would continue up until the final boss. We beat up Hammer Bros, dug through planets, clouded our way across lava, dashed with Yoshi, and... nope. Oh my god, why now when we're so close to the end? Why did he have to make this snake block purple as well? And even worse, there was no way we were gonna be able to cheese through all this lava this time. The distance was just way too great, and after that there's a giant ass gap in the way anyways. The only idea I had left was to maybe use Yoshi's infinite flutter jump exploit to flutter across this giant gap, right when you first get Yoshi. I didn't have high hopes, but it's our only chance, and here's what happened. Yup, there is a invisible wall blocking our path. To be honest, I wasn't really sure if it was that or if I just sucked at doing this, so I went back to Supermassive Galaxy to do the infinite lives glitch, came back and must have burned through over 50 lives just trying to not fall to my doom, but even when it got better, I never got further than behind the castle walls. Seriously? This is it? All that blood, sweat and tears just to be stumped at the very end? Well, I guess that's Super Mario Galaxy 2 to you all. So it is with great disappointment that I am here to report that it is not possible to beat this game without touching any color. Honestly, you want to know what the saddest part of this is? If only it wasn't for that stupid pink plank back in Puzzle Plank Galaxy, we could have potentially just sacrificed purple instead. I have a very strong feeling we could have actually made it through the whole game that way, just because based on what I've seen, it's a far rarer color throughout the game. And that way, I wouldn't even have had to come up with that stupid excuse for not counting the Starbit Crystal in World 2. But, oh well, what's done is done, and at least this is way further than I could have ever gotten in Galaxy 1. Hopefully, you all enjoyed watching this challenge video of mine, and if you want to see me do more stuff like this in the future, whether it's more color challenges in other games, or maybe even just other challenges in general, make sure to subscribe to my channel as I yap about all of the Mario things there are in the world. And with all that being said, I'm signing off now, until next time.